meeting to order. It is 5:25 p.m. We have no public comments for posted agenda items today. I will turn the floor over to Ms. Selena Saraceres, Audit Partner from Whitley Penn LLP, who will present the audit report for fiscal year ending August 31st, 2021.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. Members of the board, Dr. Moore, thank you for letting me present the results of the fiscal year 2021 audit. This is the engagement team. Patrick Simmons did the heavy lifting. Your engagement partner is Lupe Garcia. He's one of my partners as well, so I'm stepping in for them. Every engagement, I have a cough drop, and now my eyes are tearing up with the cough drop and the mask. I apologize. Okay, I apologize for that. Tom Peterson was the second partner reviewer, and so yes, I can. How's this? Is this better? Okay. Every engagement has two partners, and the second partner review was handled by Tom Peterson, and the engagement staff were Cynthia Guerra, the senior associate, and Laura Almaraz, who performed audit procedures throughout the year. The planning process started way before we came out in the field. We started speaking to your management team on internal controls, risk assessment, anything that changed, especially with COVID-19 funding, federal funding. We came out in the summer, performed internal control walkthroughs, identified key controls, tested the controls, not only over your financial statements, but also over your federal awards, all in an effort to determine the nature and timing and extent of our test work. In the end, after the district closes its books, as of 8/31/2021, we come back in the fall, perform our final procedures to make sure that the information presented in the financial statements in your annual comprehensive financial report are materially stated, and also to issue an opinion on the financial statements as well as on your federal compliance work. There's three types of opinions that you can receive, and they worsen as you move from right to left. So every entity wants an unmodified or clean opinion. And I have great news for you. You are receiving an unmodified or clean opinion. This indicates that this is the highest level of assurance that any entity can receive on a set of financial statements. Because you do receive federal funding, we're required to follow government auditing standards, and our opinion is listed on pages 3 through 5 of the annual comprehensive financial report. As I indicated earlier, when we came out into the field and we identified key controls, tested those controls, we're required to report any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses over financial reporting, and we have none to report. In addition to federal compliance, we're also looking at state compliance, Public Funds Investment Act, procurement compliance, anything with the state special allotments, and again, no instances of non-compliance. And this is also shown on pages 1 of 2 of the single audit report, which is the smaller report provided to you. As I indicated earlier, you do spend federal funds. This year you spent about $36.9 million in federal funds. And every year we have to go through a risk assessment process and select different federal funds. The larger the program and not tested recently will be audited as major. And good or bad news, the ESSER funds will be audited for a few more years until they're completely exhausted, and the federal government has already assessed them as higher risk. In fiscal year 2021, Title I Part A, ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3, and the coronavirus relief funds were all audited as major, as would be expected given their level of expenditures. There were no internal control findings related to each of these major programs, and again, a clean opinion or an unmodified opinion, and no instances of non-compliance or question cost, and those results can also be seen on pages 3 and 4 of the single audit report. Any questions before I move into the financial statements? No. Okay. The statement of net position shows basically the net worth of Galena Park ISD. And it shows all of the assets and liabilities. So all the long-lived assets, such as your capital assets, which you don't see in your general fund when you're looking at the budget to actual. So this is a different measurement focus. And so if we look at your assets, they totaled $759 million with cash and investments at $295 million. And then the bulk at capital is made up of capital assets of $315 million, and those are net of accumulated depreciation. The total liabilities includes all of your bonds payable, and then those two items, which are just financial reporting liabilities, of the net pension liability and the net OPEB liability. So total liabilities were $688 million, and then the bonds payable and the related premiums are $446 million. Again, the net pension and the net OPEB liabilities have to be reported on your financial statements because they represent your proportionate share of the liabilities at the state level. You participate in TRS, and so at every year the state goes through a calculation. They determine the liability at the state level, and based on your contributions, your proportionate share is determined. The $79.7 million and the $71.8 million do not represent a cash liability like an accounts payable that you'll have to pay. Again, only a reporting mechanism under the government accounting standards. And then continuing forward, you'll continue to pay into TRS at the statutorily determined rates. So overall, the net position or net worth of Galena Park ISD is $70.4 million. Any questions before I go into the governmental fund financial statements? Okay. If we dissect your general fund revenues, we'll see that they totaled $257.6 million, an increase from the prior year, which totaled $238.6 million. State aid does make up the bulk of your revenues in the general fund at 48% or 123.8%. Property taxes makes up the second largest portion of this pie chart. You also have some federal funding of $7.7 million, which is made up of indirect cost as well as the school health and related services, which increased from the prior year as well. When we look at your general fund expenditures, you'll see that your instruction and related services totaled $145.4 million out of the total $241.4 million, or 60%. That's where every district wants to be, 55% or greater in this category. The second largest percentage or portion of the pie chart is facilities maintenance and operations at $27.6 million, or 11%. And you'll see the other categories are less than 11%. I always like to point out general administration, which is at 4%, and so anytime that TEA looks at spending in this category, they want it to be less than 8%, and you are well below that threshold that they have set at the state level. If we compare the actual results in the general fund to what you budgeted, and we're comparing the final budget to actual results, you'll see that actual revenues exceeded budgeted amounts of $12.1 million, and your actual expenditures came under budget by $9.7 million. Overall, your revenues and other sources exceeded your expenditures by $16.3 million. So now the ending fund balance in your general fund is $193.9 million. You have three categories within your general fund: non-spendable, which is $500,000, and that's set aside for prepaid or inventory. And then assigned fund balance has been set aside, the majority of $93.1 million. The majority of that is for unknown COVID-related items. I will tell you that even in the note disclosures for subsequent events, the Texas Education Agency has notified school districts that they're not going to make available any waivers or any hold harmless provisions like we had in fiscal year 2021. So for 22, we don't know the outcomes or the effects of COVID-19 and the hit, so it's good to have these reserves in fund balance. The unassigned fund balance is $100.3 million. And if we look at the trends from 2017 through 2021, you'll see that your fund balance, the unassigned fund balance, is $100.3 million, which is an increase from the prior years. That fund balance of $100.3 million represents 41.5% of operating expenditures. It also tells you how many days are in fund balance. So the 41% is significantly over the 25% threshold that TEA requires. And then locally, you have a policy that your unassigned fund balance should be 10 to 15% of your operating expenditures. So if all revenues were to cease, it would last a little more than 90 days, significantly more than 90 days without any revenue. So your fund balance is healthy, and it's important to have a healthy fund balance, not knowing what COVID-19 will do to your general fund reserves. We also look at your national school breakfast and lunch programs, as well as your debt service fund, because you do adopt a budget on an annual basis. The actual revenues for your child nutrition program came under budget by $4.2 million. They totaled $13.6 million, but that's not unusual, just because we're still incurring costs, but the meal counts aren't what they used to be as in the past. Actual expenditures were $13.4 million, still came under budget by $4.3 million, and you had a slight increase of about $200,000 with an ending fund balance of $3.8 million. While TEA wants you to have reserves of 75 to 90 days in fund balance, the Texas Department of Agriculture has a different view, where they don't want you to have more than 90 days. They want you to keep that as close as possible to zero. So it's a different focus from the Texas Education Agency. Your debt service fund, you levy taxes to pay off the principal and debt on the principal and interest on your debt. So actual revenues were $32.9 million, and they were less than the budgeted amounts by $700,000. Your actual expenditures were $36.8 million. Again, that budget is based on the principal and interest payments that are due on an annual basis. So your fund balance did increase by $3.9 million, and you have a total fund balance of $6 million. Finally, the required communications. There are estimates within your financial statements, and we discussed a few. The largest estimates are going to be the net pension and net OPEB liability. Those are actuarially determined. Those are not determined by your management team. But then state aid is also, several inputs go into those revenue figures, with property taxes and the primary driver being average daily attendance, and then allowance for uncollectible taxes is based on historical collection rates, and then the useful lives of the capital assets. We also have to evaluate to make sure they're in line with industry standards, and we didn't see any deviations. Throughout the audit, we request a lot of information, and based on my communication with the engagement team, there were no difficulties in dealing with management. We didn't have any corrected or uncorrected misstatements that we had to bring to you here tonight, and nor did we have any disagreements in any accounting matters or any matters for that matter. The last piece of audit evidence that we have to obtain from your management team is the representation letter. That indicates that they have provided us with everything that we needed to perform our audit. Nothing has been withheld. As far as we know, no consultations have occurred with other auditors. And also, when we provide our responses to any technical matters, our responses are not a condition of our retention. So if the answer is no, we're comfortable in saying no, the risks are X, Y, Z. So we appreciate that relationship with Galena Park ISD. Any questions for me?
Thank you, Ms. Sierra-Sierras. There being no other business before the board at this time, the meeting is adjourned. The time is 5:39. This meeting to order. The time is 5:39. Ms. Terry Moore, Associate Superintendent for Accountability and Strategic Planning, will present the 2020 through 2021 annual report to the Board of Trustees.
Hi, Ms. Stevens, Board of Trustees, Dr. Moore and Cabinet, thank you for allowing me a few minutes tonight for our district to remain in compliance with our annual report. I'd like to start out by being the first of many tonight to say thank you and show my appreciation for all you do for our school district. Truly, what you do for us is greatly valued and appreciated. Going into our report, we're not going to cover the data tonight. Tonight is just our demonstration of our compliance with the statute you see there before us. The Texas Education Code requires each school district's Board of Trustees to publish an annual report, which includes the Texas Academic Performance Report, which is released in late December each year. In addition to publishing this annual report, we are required to conduct a public hearing, which we're doing tonight, which covers our compliance and where our public can find this information. The annual report shall include several components. The TAPA report is a required component, as well as our PEIMS financial standard report, the district's accreditation status, our campus performance objectives, which is our campus improvement plans, our district's report on violent criminal incidences on campuses, our student performance in post-secondary institutions, as well as a glossary which can guide our public through the TAPA report itself. So the first part of the annual report, the TAPA, we must include all 5 components of the TAPA report, which is the cover page, our student performance data, our student participation data, our data on attendance, graduation, dropout rates, and our CCMR, as well as our district profile of our students and our faculty. So what you see here is the first part of that, the cover page. The cover page includes our district's rating as well as any determination statuses we're currently under. As you can see, our rating is not rated, declared state of disaster, which all campuses and districts received this past school year. And we do have a determination status for special education. Under student performance, this is the second year of what we call funny data. Our data is not truly what we've been accustomed to in the past. This year's TAPA report includes data from 3 school years rather than just 2. So it's 2018, 2019, and then it skips to this past year, 2021. And just as a reminder, we didn't have student data from 2020. For the student data report, the student performance, our report and made publicly is our student performance information at all 3 proficiency levels. As you'll notice, that yellow box is where our public can find a direct link to the data for that category. So just like as in your report you received before Christmas, our public can then go straight to our data for each of these areas. While progress rates are included in this year, we didn't receive progress rates this immediate past school year, so the progress rates are based on our 2018 to 2019 data. While this past year was a very tough year for our school district and many other school districts across the state instructionally, there are some highlights from our student performance data. While our overall performance did take a dip, which we were expecting after our students having been out, and just a reminder, this past school year was the year our teachers were teaching hybrid. They had virtual students as well as face-to-face students. We started the year virtually, so a lot of challenges, attendance and consistency throughout the year were challenges to us. We did take a 21% dip in our approaches category for math compared to the state's dip of 16. Our science and social studies at the approaches level, we dropped 16, which was expected, compared to the state's drop of 10. And our reading scores at the approaches level dropped by 10% as compared to the state's 5%. And while that sounds not quite so well, let me put it in context for you. The students, the state's information, the students who are identified as economically disadvantaged were 3 times more likely to take a performance dip last school year. So if we go by the state's research and the state's data, what they're saying is students, our student population should have taken a 30% dip. And while we maintained ours, so our dips were not that our student population in any other school district would have taken a 30% hit, where we maintained the drop at a much less greater rate for our students. The state also reports that students who were limited English proficient were 2 times more likely to experience performance loss in this past school year. Remote students across the state performed at a 6% lower rate than their face-to-face counterparts, and our remote students who were also considered economically disadvantaged were 25% lower than their non-ED remote counterparts. So given our student population and our circumstances last year, we truly need to acknowledge how hard our teachers worked and our campuses did to maintain a threshold of learning loss that we can recover from. And I'll also say that our students with foundational skills in reading, our older students, our English 1 and English 2, who had been maintaining and in our system for a while, had the least amount of loss for all of our students. Not surprising, the most significant reading loss was with our 3rd graders who were new to the system. Currently, math has been historically our highest performing area, and it is right now our biggest area that we're trying to recover from. But our semester exam data right now shows that we're already on track to meet or beat our 2019 scores. And so while the state is scrambling, trying to recover from the learning loss and saying it's going to take 3, 4, 5 years, our school district is already on track to close that gap for our math students right now. As a reminder, we do have to publish our ratings each year, and as a reminder, we do have the rating of not rated, declared state of disaster. For this current school year, we will receive an A through F rating, so we're going back into the traditional A through F at the end of this school year. So at next year's report, we will have a rating again. For our student participation, we do perform. You can see through the link right there, our student participation data. We had a 97% participation rate on our STAR and EOC testing this past school year compared to the state's rate of 88. So our campuses worked really hard. If you remember, we had to bring all students back face-to-face to take the test. So even our virtual students had to come back face-to-face to take their tests. So it was a huge challenge, and our campuses met those challenges. We also publish our attendance, graduation, and dropout rates, and I'm very proud to say that our campus made improvement in the attendance rates for last school year, the dropout rate for last school year, as well as the graduation rate from our class of our most recently graduated class, that we made improvements across the board in those areas. Our college career and military readiness continues to be a strength for our school district. Our college readiness, the data can all be found there, but just to highlight that our college readiness indicator, we made a 16% improvement this last year in students who were earning the college readiness indicator. There were all 3 areas that we made improvement in through the TSI, the Texas Success Initiative. We had a 16% improvement. Our dual credit students who earned their indicator through dual credit courses in all content areas made a gain of 1%. And we had a 3% gain of our students who are earning the college ready indicator with their AP exams. So a lot of good news there, that even though the circumstances we were in last year, we had a lot of great improvement. In the career readiness, we did not make any gains, but last year was the year they did not include military readiness, nor did they include the coherent sequence indicator that we had previously been earning, and that was across the state. So the entire state took a dip in this area, and it's not just Galena Park ISD. However, in 2 of our career areas, we did make gains. Our industry-based certification made a gain yet again of 4%. So 4% more students this past year earned an industry-based certification while in high school, and 2.5% more special education students graduated with an advanced degree. And this is a quick comparison. We do have our district profile information for our public, as well as our staff information, but you can see in the areas where the state said students were more likely to not perform or to have a decline in performance this past school year, we far exceed the state in the percentage of students in our school district. Also included in the annual report and made public is the actual financial data for the school district based on our PEIMS financial standard report. And for last school year, the TEA paused accreditation ratings this past school year because the student performance is a key factor in their ratings. So we do not have currently have a rating. Our most recent rating was fully accredited, and we will receive ratings again this year. So moving into next year's report, we'll have accreditation again. Our campus performance objectives, all of our district and campus improvement plans are available publicly to the public. They can either access them on our website, or they may visit any of our campuses or the district to request a hard copy, and those reports are updated quarterly. We also have made public our report on violent or criminal incidences. There's 2 ways our public can receive this report. One is through our publicly posted federal report card, as well as the direct link here in the annual report that they can access the data. Also, our post-secondary performance, just like our criminal incidents, it's the same. We have the information posted publicly on our federal report card, as well as through the direct link. And this current report is for our 2019 graduates who attended college during the fiscal year of 2020. And as required, we have the Tapper Glossary available for our public. It is currently only available in English. As soon as the Spanish version is released, it will be included in our annual report for our parents and our community. So the Tapper and other required reports for the district and all campuses are published on the Galena Park website, and paper copies can be requested at any of our sites for parents, as well as the information will be included in upcoming newsletters. Okay? Any questions?
Yeah, Terry, I have a
Yes,
question.
ma'am.
Going back to the Texas Academic Performance Report, and I know you said that we were like 21%. We took a dip in the math area, and I know we're trying to recover because of the pandemic, but the state is less in each category. Will you explain that again? Because I missed out somewhere in there.
That we took a 21, our students who were at the approaches grade level for the math performance, that was the minimum passing. We had 21% less than in 2019 passing. And so the state average, at the state level, at that same comparison, the state lost, what did I say? The state lost 16%. So we were about 5 or 6% greater loss, but what the state report is saying that the students we serve were 3 times more likely at the state level to have gains. So at the state level, the loss for the economically disadvantaged population was 30%.
Okay, because I was just a little surprised it wasn't a little bit more.
Yes, ma'am. So all being said, while we didn't like the numbers at the end, we need to be very proud of how hard that to mitigate the loss and the slide backwards.
Okay, thank you very much.
Does the board or public have any questions or comments regarding the public hearing? Thank you, Mrs. Moore. The public hearing is adjourned. The time is 5:54. The meeting will reconvene at 6 p.m. for the regular meeting. Trustees of Galena Park Independent School District is now convened in a regular meeting on Monday, January 10th, 2022, in the Administration Building of Galena Park Independent School District, the address of which is 14705 Wood Forest Boulevard, Houston, Texas 77015. The time is 6 p.m. I want to welcome the members of our audience to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Galena Park ISD Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on today's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by Section 551.071 to 551.084, inclusive of the Texas Government Code. I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in the Galena Park Independent School District. We have no public comments for posted agenda items today. We do have public comments for non-agenda items tonight. Patrons who have duly registered per policy BED local may address the board regarding matters of concern or interest to the district. Other than the character of any student, staff, or board member, I would like to remind the audience that the comments of the speakers reflect their own positions or opinions. The board may not discuss or act upon any matter that is not listed under the action item portion of the agenda. Therefore, board members may not discuss the comments of speakers. Please understand that a lack of a response from board members does not indicate agreement or approval of the comments. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to address the board. The secretary of the board will be designated timekeeper. Ms. Cynthia Bowie, will you please step to the podium?
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Bowie, and I am a 17-year teacher in the district. I'm also a representative of the Northeast Houston American Federation of Teachers. I'm here today to address our school board in regards to the Reading Academy modules that TEA and Galena Park ISD are requiring the K-3 teachers, supporting faculty, and administrators to complete. This 12-module online college course is intense, densely packed with information, and very time-consuming. In fact, according to the GPISD Reading Academy Scope and Sequence, it's supposed to take us 60 hours to complete. However, according to the TEA website, it states that the course is designed to take 80 hours. So far, I've spent over 40 hours on this course at this halfway mark, so I agree with the TEA's time estimate. In addition to the 20-hour discrepancy, the most important question still remains. If, when, how, and how much will Reading Academy participants be compensated for these 80 hours? 80 hours, ladies and gentlemen, is an entire paycheck. Again, referring to the Reading Academy information on the TEA website, it states that each district is responsible for paying its teachers. Also, in the frequently asked questions section, the question was posed if districts would provide professional development days for the teachers to complete the modules. TEA said that, too, would be a district decision. So here we are at the halfway point, and the district has given us only one full professional development day to work on the modules and has yet to mention any financial compensation. So, since we obviously cannot work on the modules during instructional, planning, and conference times, when are these modules being done? You guessed it. We are using our personal time off to complete work-related modules. This is a huge problem because the stress of the regional academies is negatively affecting our health and our lives. We can't go home and de-stress, cook a meal for and enjoy our families, go to our kids' games or help them with homework, or do our own homework for a master's or PhD program without these modules hanging over our heads. Some of us even have to use our off time to work a second job to meet our financial obligations. We should not have to compromise our lifestyles to work on modules that we are not getting paid to do. In conclusion, I am asking the Galena Park School Board to provide extra duty pay for those 80 hours for the Reading Academy participants. I am also asking our board to open dialogue with the teachers in Galena Park via a Zoom meeting to hear the effects of the modules have had on our lives and to explicitly tell us how Galena Park plans to compensate us for completing these 80 hours, this 80-hour course. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Bowie. Texas, let's see, Mary Fontenot, a representative for Harold Dutton, will you please step up to the podium?
Good afternoon. I didn't think I would be quite this soon. Representative Dutton is actually stuck in an accident on I-10 Katy, so he was desperately trying to get here. But in honor of, I guess I could call up some of the names. Take off my glasses here. In honor of recognizing the board of Galena Park ISD, State Representative Harold Dutton has gotten resolutions for all of the members. And it reads, I'll read it for you if I do have that time. Whereas the school boards play an integral role in the education of our children and the observance of School Board Recognition Month in January 2022 provides a welcome opportunity to honor the trustees of the Galena Park Independent School District. And whereas working in conjunction with administrators, classroom teachers, and parents, the board furthers the district's mission of providing students with the knowledge and skills necessary to become successful and productive citizens. Its responsibilities include setting policy and ensuring the efficient operation of school facilities with the goal of fostering an optimal learning environment for all students. And whereas the dedicated individuals presently serving on the Galena Park Board of Trustees are President Jeff Miller, Vice President Adrian Stevens, Secretary Noah Esperanza, members Wanda Heath Johnson, Ramon Garza, Norma Hernandez, and Herbert Alexander Sanchez. The district also benefits from the able guidance of Superintendent John C. Moore. And whereas of each notable Texan has demonstrated an exemplary commitment to area students, and through their vision and leadership, they are contributing immeasurably to the future of the Lone Star State. Now therefore be it resolved that the Galena Park Independent School District Board of Trustees be commended for its service to the community and that its members be extended sincere best wishes for continued success with their important work. The Honorable, Harold V. Dutton Jr., State Representative, District 142. I have one for each of you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Sarah Montalongo with Senator Carol Alvarado's office, will you please step up to the podium?
Good evening. The celebrations are going to continue. I'll make mine short. In 2020, at the start of the coronavirus pandemic, you acted swiftly to make sure that the students continued to receive a high-quality education and nutrition during their time at home. Since then, you have continued to make difficult decisions to ensure that students have a safe place to learn and the resources required to overcome the learning obstacles brought by the pandemic. This work has required the collective efforts of teachers, students, parents, administrators, and of course the board, which could not have been achieved without your guidance. As you continue to face the challenges on hand, it is certain that new challenges will arise. Now, more than ever, your leadership and commitment are needed to secure the present and long-term success of Galena Park ISD. In appreciation of your efforts, I offer the enclosed certificates, now that she has, as a symbol of my sincere gratitude and administration and admiration for all the work that you do for the students of Galena Park ISD and the people of Senate District 6. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montalongo. Ms. Maria Bolanos with Precinct 2, Commissioner Adrian Garcia's office. Will you please step up to the podium?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here in front of you to wish you a fantastic month. To all of you serving, I am here on behalf of Commissioner Adrian Garcia, and I would like to present you with a certificate of celebration in appreciation of your service in the Galena Park Independent School District. Your hard work and dedication do not go unnoticed by your local community and your Harris County Commissioner, Adrian Garcia. Thank you for serving, and there is one for each of you. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bolanos. Mr. Tom Ellers with City of Galena Park, Mayor Esmeralda Moya's office. Will you please step up to the podium?
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Moore, other distinguished dignitaries, and most importantly, the citizens of Galena Park ISD. My name is Tom Ellers, and I am the Fire Chief for the City of Galena Park, and I'm honored to be here this evening representing Mayor Moya, the mayor of the city. Mayor Moya would like to extend her warmest regards to each of you this evening. The mayor also would like to present each of the school board members a proclamation recognizing the school board for School Board Recognition Month. This proclamation recognizes your commitment, dedication, and hard work to make sure that the children of Galena Park ISD have an educational system that meets the needs of both today and tomorrow. Your tireless commitment to work with parents, educational professionals, and the community ensures that we are providing the strongest foundation for our school system and our children. This commitment empowers our children to become competent, productive contributors to not only a democratic society, but also an ever-changing world. Congratulations to each of you, and I hope everyone will join me in recognizing each member of the school board this month and the contributions each of you make to our children, our district, and the future every single day. Thank you, and may God bless each of you, and may God bless Galena Park.
Thank you, Mr. Ellers. Mrs. Sharonda Hunter, will you please step up to the podium?
Good evening. It is an honor to be here tonight to recognize our school board members and their service to the children and community of Galena Park ISD. As the governing body of our district, the work you do to lead our district has a direct impact on the lives of our students. Because of this tremendous responsibility, we consider ourselves blessed to have leaders in place who always put the best interest of our students first. We want to recognize the sacrifices you make to serve faithfully. The pandemic has not only magnified your dedication to Galena Park ISD as you meet each unforeseen challenge with grace, flexibility, and resolve. Though January is School Board Recognition Month, your work and dedication is a year-round effort. On behalf of the students and staff of our district, we want you to know how grateful we are for your volunteer service to Galena Park ISD.
The road we travel throughout each day has twists and turns along the way. The winds of change are all around. We're tossed about both up and down. Each day in school is a learning season. We search each day for rhyme or reason. Forever faced with life's shifting sands, while searching both life's can'ts and can'ts. We yearn each day for the wheres and whys, and seek to learn beyond the skies. As challenges appear without a map, what may look safe can be a trap. Though learning can seem like the darkest night, by working hard, we'll see the light. As downpour yields to clearing skies, it's you who provides for the wheres and whys. You don't just speak of a team of 8, you know when to act and when to wait. Each of you stays in your lane, forever humble and never vain. When challenges come in like a bad storm surge, we appreciate your calm deeds and words. In times when the winds of life have roared, we find our shelter in our school board. Thank you for the role you play to lead our journey in every way. Please accept this heartfelt gift of love for guiding our journey, for rising above. We offer words of appreciation for your love, your care, your dedication. The role you play is plain to see in making Galena Park ISD a great place to be. On behalf of all the students in Galena Park ISD, thank you for always rising above. We appreciate you.
At this time, we'd like to present each trustee and Dr. Moore, our team of 8, a commemorative book created with the help of some very talented students who were selected as our GPISD video contest winners this past summer. Students, please join me on stage as I call your name. Jeremy Alvarez, Cassandra Cavazos, Priscilla Diaz, Madison Farley, Caitlin McDade, Matthew Montsabias, Ezra Rodriguez, and Digna Rivera. Please place the books in front of each board member.
Thank you.
North Shore Senior High School art teacher, Ms. Katie Cunningham, would you also join us on stage at this time? Students, please come up here. We're going to take a photo. Y'all, please give these students a round of applause. Thank you all for helping us honor our team of 8. And on behalf of the students, staff, and community, thank you, Board of Trustees, for the work you do to take care of us. We truly appreciate you. Principals of these students, you may join us on stage for a photo. And also parents, we want to thank you for always answering the call and bringing your students out when we ask you for them to be able to participate in events such as this. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
One more.
Thank you all. You may take your seats.
Thank you, students, for a beautiful presentation.
Go ahead. In addition to the recognitions you've heard this evening, we received the following commendations from other notable leaders in our community who wanted to publicly thank you and recognize your service, but were unable to attend in person. Proclamations in honor of School Board Recognition Month were received from the offices of Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo and Jacinto City Mayor Anna Diaz. A resolution in recognition for your service as Board of Trustees was received from the office of Texas State Representative Anna Hernandez, and congratulatory certificates in recognition of your service were received from the office of U.S. Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia and Harris County Commissioner Precinct 1 Rodney Ellis. We appreciate our local dignitaries for taking time out of their busy schedules to recognize the work you do as volunteers to serve your communities and your willingness to join arms with other community leaders to provide a better future for the children of Galena Park ISD. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hunter. Tonight's invocation will be presented by Board Member Wanda Heath Johnson, and the pledges to the American and Texas flags will be led by the North Shore Middle School LOTC Color Guard. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flags.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussions. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of this community. In Jesus' name, amen.
You may be seated. We will now move on to this evening's special recognition portion of the agenda. Dr. Moore.
Test. All right. Ms. Johnson's going to help me out. And, Ms. Hunter's going to. It's great to see you guys tonight. I'm really excited you took the time to come out. I know a lot of folks are sick, and I know it takes a chance to get in a crowd of people, so we really appreciate your time and effort for coming out tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Tonight we are recognizing Galena Park High School senior Ayelen Placencia. Ayelen, please join us on stage. And Dr. Martin, would you please join her for a photo? Ayelen was selected as recipient of the Quest Bridge Scholarship. The scholarship, worth over $200,000, is awarded to students who have excelled academically and plan to pursue a college degree. Ayelen plans to attend Davidson College in North Carolina next fall to study biochemistry. Congratulations, Ayelen, for this incredible accomplishment. We are so proud of you. Next, we're excited to recognize the North Shore Senior High School esports team and sponsors for advancing to the High School Esports National Championship in Arlington, Texas. Mr. Christopher E. Bar, hold on one second, please. Mr. Christopher Ibarra is the lead sponsor of the esports program and could not be with us tonight, but we wanted to publicly acknowledge his efforts in launching this program to provide another opportunity for our students' talents to be recognized. Thank you, Mr. Ibarra. Please join us on stage when your name is called. Mr. Keith Lovingood, Mr. Manuel Vargas, Mr. Logan Wilson, Juan Pablo Escalante, Osvaldo Garcia, Sherrard O'Hee. Principals, please join them on stage. You may recall North Shore Senior High School won the Build on an Esports Lab campaign last year and received $12,000 to purchase the necessary equipment for their very own esports lab. Out of 5,000 entries, North Shore Senior High School was selected as one of only 25 winners from across the nation. This past December, our North Shore Senior High School Esports League defeated the Crestwood Chargers from Michigan in the High School Esports League Fall Major Call of Duty Cold War. And each team member was awarded a $500 college scholarship. They now advance to the national championship this coming May in Arlington to compete in front of college recruiters for $150,000 in scholarship prizes. After only a year, we are proud to recognize these students for their tremendous success in such a short amount of time. Congratulations to all of you for putting Galena Park ISD on the esports map. And we wish you the best of luck in May. Please give them a round of applause. This concludes the recognition portion of this evening's meeting. Thank you.
Any board member may make a comment during this portion of the agenda without prior posting being required. Comment items may not pertain to the character of any student, staff, or board member and may not be discussed or deliberated upon at this time. Does anyone have a comment at this time? I would like to wish everyone a safe, healthy, and successful new year. Thank you for all of the wonderful recognition for Board Member Appreciation Month. Anyone else? Okay. We now come to the business portion of tonight's meeting. We invite and encourage you to stay for the remainder of the meeting. However, if you need to leave early, we understand. And this is a convenient time to do so. We appreciate your attendance. Please come again. Jared Link, Executive Director for Human Resource Services, Compliance and Hearing, will present the Texas Association of School Boards Localized Manual Update 118 as presented for the Board of Trustees review at first and final reading. Mr. Link will also present the CKE Local Safety Program Risk Management Security Personnel as presented for the Board of Trustees review at first and final reading.
All right, well, once again, Mr. Fletcher and I can clear a room.
Chair, can you scoot up to the microphone,
Yes,
please?
Pick it up. Is that better? You guys hear me? All right, well, good evening, Dr. Moore, Ms. Valdez, members of the board, cabinet. We're going to address TASB Policy 118. I am fully aware that we have a ball game tonight at 7, so we'll be quick through this. As you can see, the recommended changes with Update 118 comes from the 87th Legislature. These are the topics that are going to be covered through the changes in policy, and we'll go through them quickly as we move through. CFD Local deals with activity funds and management. It states that students' activity funds are those, it's clarification that those funds are those funds particularly raised and collected by student clubs and organizations, and the approval to spend those funds rests solely with those student organizations or clubs. CQB deals with cybersecurity. This is a provision addressing the board delegation to the superintendent regarding cybersecurity training that reflect the elimination of the annual training requirement, and it also gives the superintendent the authority to impose those consequences for failure to complete such a training. DFE Local, dealing with termination of employment and resignation. When an employee resigns at the end of the school year, that those resignations must be submitted to the Board of Trustees or the Board of Trustees delegate, and the superintendent, which is typically the delegate, may not further delegate that responsibility. So as a result, TASB has recommended revising the policy language to give the superintendent or the designee the authority to accept those resignations. DP Local, personnel positions. This deals with Senate Bill 179, which has to deal with school counselors. Mandates that school counselors have to spend at least 80% of their total work time on duties that are components of a comprehensive school counseling program. EHAA Local, required instruction. It's a new provision that imposes several requirements regarding human sexuality curriculum materials, including a board policy on adopting those curriculum materials. EHBC Local, compensatory and accelerated services. Revisions to the local policy include references to accelerated instruction and accelerated learning. Also, one of my favorites, it directs parents to board policy F and G if they wanted to file a complaint or a grievance regarding those educational plans. IE Local, retention and promotion. It's outdated provisions on grade advancement testing have been removed as a result of House Bill 4545, including the assignment of retained students. FDE Local, school safety. It's just a change in language. It adds one phrase when you're dealing with continuous sexual abuse of a young child or children to include a disabled individual. FEA Local, compulsory attendance. This is with Senate Bill 289. It gives an optional excused absence for a student who's at least 15 to miss one day to go get a learner's permit and another day to get a driver's license. FEC Local. This is about the 90% attendance requirement with House Bill 699. It creates an exception for absences resulting from a serious or life-threatening illness or related treatment. It does give the attendance committees, wants the attendance committee to consider what's in the best interest of the student, extenuating circumstances, and conditions for awarding credit or a final grade based upon knowledge and skills in maintaining a passing grade, as opposed to reassigning that student to a program to make up time for absences. FFG, child abuse and neglect. One small change to this policy, instead of having to report when you have a cause to believe, they've added the word reasonable, a reasonable cause to believe. FL Local, student records. It's just a phrase, grade placement committee is an outdated phrase. It changes it to accelerated learning committee. We do have one additional policy, CKE Local. And NCKE local, we're proposing the revisions of the safety program. Risk management security personnel are recommended to address a comprehensive safety program, duties, and training for school resource officers. Any questions?
Thank
All
you,
right.
Mr. Link.
Thank you very much.
Harold Sonny Fletcher, Senior Director for Facilities, Planning, and Construction, will provide a 2016 bond program construction update.
Here we go. Good evening, Board, Dr. Moore and Cabinet. Real quick, we'll talk, because of the ballgame, of course, we'll be real quick. Pyburn Elementary School, if you remember last month, we talked about the retaining wall. This is the bayous on the left, the new school will be on the right. And there's the retaining wall. You can see how it's about 8 feet tall down at the far end there. Wanted a picture of that. And then the picture on the right, just reminding us how we've built up that school quite a bit to get it out of the floodplain. Piers are going in now for the main building, and we'll be erecting steel probably in a couple months. That one's going along real well. And of course, we have our Galena Park High School Phase 2 is in design. Any questions? No. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. We will now move on to the consent agenda portion. With respect to the general consent agenda, do we want to remove any item for a separate vote or take the agenda as is?
I know as far as a move, we approve the general consent agenda as presented.
A motion was made by Noe Esparza and seconded by Wanda Johnson. All in favor? The motion was carried 5-0 with no abstentions. With respect to the construction consent agenda, do we want to remove any item for a separate vote or take the agenda as is?
I, Wanda Johnson, move we approve the construction consent agenda as presented.
I, Norma Hernandez, second the motion.
A motion was made by Wanda Johnson and seconded by Norma Hernandez. All in favor? The motion carried 5-0 with no abstentions. With respect to the financial consent agenda, do we want to remove any item for a separate vote or take the agenda as is?
I, Norma Hernandez, move we approve the financial consent agenda as presented.
I, Ramon Garza, second the motion.
A motion was made by Norma Hernandez and seconded by Ramon Garza. All in favor? The motion carried 5-0 with no abstentions. The following documents were presented to the board for information. Sonia Nizy, Chief Financial Officer and Deputy Superintendent for Operational Support, presented donation report for December 2021, 2016 bond program financial report as of November 30th, 2021, general fund budget summary report for the period of September 1st, 2021 through November 30th, 2021, comparative tax collection report for the period of September 1st through November 30th for fiscal years 2020 through 2021 and 2021 through 2022. Elizabeth Layler, Deputy Superintendent for Educational Support and School Administration, presented Early Head Start Policy Council meeting minutes from November 2021, Early Head Start Update and Fund 205 Expenditure Report Summary from November 2021. An executive session of the board will now be held on the matters contained in the notice for this meeting, as authorized by sections 551.001 through section 551.084 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act. Should the board determine that any final action, final decision, or final vote be required with regard to any matter considered in such closed or executive meeting or session, then such final action, Final decision or final vote shall be at either this public meeting upon the reconvening of this public meeting, or at a subsequent public meeting of the board upon notice thereof, as the board shall determine. A closed or executive meeting of the board will now be held. The time is 6:39 p.m. Executive session is adjourned and the board is now in open session. The time is 7:03 p.m. There being no other business before the board at this time, the meeting is adjourned. The time is 7:03 p.m.